Welcome to part 2 of the receipts between La Guarita and Carlos in Mexico collab. So to enter this segue into my video about Carlos in Mexico that some of you are anxiously waiting on for receipts, I need to give context to my friendship or collaboration with Carlos, where it began, where it ended, and why it ended. So I'm going to take you guys back to just a quick summary. When I came across Carlos on social media and we connected around May 4th or so, we began, he was part of a community of content creators here in Puerto Vallarta that I organized. We were featured in a couple of news articles, and we decided to all come together to expand our platforms, to bring a bigger audience to our platforms collectively, with the idea to create content that could help the community, whether it was, people that were facing deportation, relocating to Mexico, etc. Some of you already know the other content creators involved. And so this video, I really just need to go into my history with Carlos, one-on-one with Carlos, what beef there is there, and why this will connect to why he jumped ship to Candace and is now actively engaged in her Blow Hate campaign.
On the run with your entire family.
Since you're seeking attention by referencing my family and I, lucky for you, I have some time today. So I keep hearing about these receipts you're gonna let out. And contrary to what you might believe, people are allowed to have an opinion of you without having to share it online. Now, I have talked about you privately. I don't like you. I've lost all respect for you. And since you continually keep talking about me on social media, it's just normal and human nature for me and go and talk about you to other people privately. Now, whoever's feeding you this information, or whoever your source is, I just hope they're giving you the full story and not just bits and pieces. It's like when we had that PV group. Do you remember when you were getting dragged by all those content creators and you would go and talk to us about them and talk a lot of smack about other content creators, and we'd all kind of pitch in because we were all looking for each other out as friends? Yeah, it's the same difference, Annie. There's nothing different about that. And now that we're on the PV group segment, let's talk about that for a little bit, because you've sure ran off with a lot of narratives that are not true. Let me make something very clear to you, Annie. I ghosted you because I noted the microaggressions that you were sending my way, and I started to see patterns in behavior that I did not want to associate myself with. So when I left the group, I just didn't want to be around you. That's it. But you know what? I have the integrity to not go back on my word about things that I once said to you. Like when I told you that your story was powerful and you did inspire me before I moved to Mexico, I still hold on to that, because when I said that to you as a friend, I meant it. Now, I've lost respect for you since, and I don't like you anymore, but I would never take that back, because I really did mean those words when I sent them your way. And just like when we were friends, you were quick to tell me that if you would have been in the same position as me and the reason as to why I came to Mexico, you would have done the same thing. Hell, you have even gave me friendly legal advice to not speak on my case on social media. Did we already forget about this? So now you want to flip the script and expose that I'm on the run. So which is it? Lastly, let's address that thing you were going through when I went over to your house. You were about to out Miguel and you needed allies. Remember what you and your moderators like to do? Let me remind you.
Oh shit, and look, I'm such an idiot. Okay, so I have my mods in the group chat, and I know them in real life, like I've met them. And they're like, you know what? Let me go like the comment, let me get some traffic on it. And so they start replying to her comment. He's on an expired, like he has a timer on his 5 minutes of fame.
And to my community, I'm sorry that you're having to see this. I promise you this is not the type of content that I'm going to be putting out. But when I heard my kids getting thrown in the mix as a parent, I hope that you...
So, part of our collaboration with the PV content creators was a WhatsApp group chat that we were all collectively in, where we shared a lot of things as friends, not content creators. We talked about trauma in there. We talked about very personal things that, we were sharing vulnerability with each other that went beyond platforms. It was a really neat experience, if I'm being honest, because we were sharing things in there that were far more than just content, and we were being vulnerable, Carlos included. He shared some information in there that he's mentioned hasn't shared anywhere else. You know, we began to become maybe protective of the group, at least the WhatsApp. So Carlos, one day on July 26th, everything's going great. We had hosted some get-togethers. We were getting together every Monday to brainstorm ideas for content. Some of you guys took part in seeing those TikTok vlogs come together and really enjoyed them. Well, July 26th comes around, and Carlos sends a message to the group chat expressing concern of letting new people into the group. And I'll go ahead and play that here.
Like, it really is. It's nice to have found. So it's not even really a hot take, but I just want to know what you guys think, because I've been thinking about it since the last time we met up. So what we have going on here in this group is really cool, right? Like, it really is. It's nice to have found all of us right here in this very same city, right after all of us at some point in our lives lived in the United States. And every time we meet up, it's just a genuine vibe. You know, we all enjoy each other's companies. You know, even like yesterday, we're kind of roasting each other and we're still having a good time. Like, nobody takes anything to heart. It's all in fun. It's all in games. And I think that what we have built is very special. I really do. Comparing it to when we first met up, right, when Annie first kind of got together, the first meeting, obviously Miguel was in the mix. Since then, he's kind of dropped off. And then we've also gained a couple of awesome members. And the group continues to grow. But here's my question to all of you. Moving forward, as people continue to move back to Mexico, there's going to be people that follow us on social media, right? And they're going to want to get into like the meetings and the dinners and hanging out with us. And not to say that I want to keep it exclusive, right? Because at the end of the day, we're all people. But I think there does come like a time or a point where, I don't know, man, like some sort of screening or something. It's because for me, I feel like when we join, like we have meetups like this, we're vulnerable to some extent because we're kind of letting people into our personal lives. It's very different to showcase your life on social media and then to actually like let people into it physically present in the moment. And you just never know how people are. You know, you don't really know people's intentions. You don't really know if it's genuine. You don't really know. And I feel like right now we're at a point where everybody in the group, you know, we're all cool. Like we're all cool with each other. We all have respect for one another. And even Raquel, you know, I hung out with her 3 times prior to inviting her. My wife did too, Alondra, because we wanted to make sure that, you know, it was just kind of like the same vibe in a way. You know what I'm saying? And so like moving forward as more, because I've seen like 3 people like comment, oh, I'm going to be in Vallarta and can't wait to join y'all. And it's kind of like, to me, it's like, yeah, but like eres mamona, eres buena onda, vas a estar nada más fijándote en lo que uno tiene, lo que uno está haciendo, you know, what if we let somebody in that starts to cause division, starts to talk shit? You know what I'm saying? So I just want to know what you guys think, because like I said, it's different to show your life in social media, because in social media, you kind of get to show what you want. But in person, I feel like you're a little more vulnerable to let out some personal information amongst people you trust.
Okay, so about a month later, Carlos adds a new member to the group chat, an aspiring content creator in Puerto Vallarta that he had personally met and had been spending some time with between their families. And she had attended one of our meetings the week prior, one of our content creating meetings. And I do want to give some context to these meetings, because in that meeting prior, we had all collectively discussed creating a self-produced reality show on YouTube, where we would bring our stories together and showcase, you know, our lives now living in Mexico. The majority of our stories in that group were families impacted by policy, between deportation, between other types of politics. And so that's really what kind of brought us together to begin with. And so this new member, Raquel, which we had very limited information about, had moved to Mexico for the lower cost of living. And, you know, she had been brought into the group. Carlos was like heavily trying to push her into the group of content creators as she wanted to get started with content. She was part of several get-togethers, dinners, social outings, which was great. But then one day he added her into that group chat. Now, this group chat contained a lot of personal information of other content creators, including phone numbers that we had not discussed sharing with her. And I'll remind you that it was he who came to everybody and said, we shouldn't add anybody new. There should be a vetting process specifically. Well, we didn't vet Raquel. A lot of us didn't know how, you know, if WhatsApp was going to give her access to the entire chat prior. There was definitely concerns about, you know, we weren't ready to share personal numbers with her. We didn't know her. So when she got added to the group chat, we were like, who is this? Right? Eventually we figured out it was Raquel. And there were several members in there that were concerned with adding her. And we were all kind of like, whoa, I thought we agreed no new members. Right? So because Raquel was already in there, I reached out personally to some of the members, and I expressed like, yo, is it just me? And no, there was about 3 people that were also like, no, yeah, this is kind of uncomfortable. We don't know her like that. So based off of that feedback, I decided to reach out to Carlos myself directly, right? Not wanting to hurt Raquel's feelings because she was already in there. And by then, the other content creators were already welcoming her. Hey, welcome to the group, blah, blah, blah. And so I just reached out and I said, and I sent him a screenshot of what we had said a month ago. I was like, hey, who did we add? Sent him a screenshot of our agreement that we weren't adding new people. And I said, not sure if you saw these when we discussed adding new members, but personally I like her. I'm not on the same level of trust with her as everyone else. The group isn't limited to content creation topics, and the idea of creating the email distribution list was to keep everyone looped in with all content stuff. So we had already agreed to add Raquel to the distribution list for content. Right? So this group chat was more personal stuff. And so, he responds, he goes, my bad. I was under the impression she was already part of the group since she had dinner, with us. And somebody also invited her to the yacht party, blah, 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 blah. So he was a miscommunication, thought she was okay to be added. And I just said, because I had discussed these things privately with other members, I said, I just wanted to point out that when you asked to bring her on Monday, nobody had replied and he brought her anyway. So just kind of, I thought it was a friendly reminder, like, hey, let's all stay on the same page, right? He never responded to me. That's the last conversation I'd have ever had with Carlos directly. After that, he decided to leave the group. Before that, so after I had that private conversation with Carlos, although he didn't respond, I dropped that into the main group chat and I said, we talked about it. And by then, Raquel had left immediately after I text Carlos. So he probably went and told her, I don't know what he said, and she left. And so after that, I just kind of dropped a summary in the group chat of what I had discussed with Carlos. And I said, not sure what you told her to make her leave abruptly. We're not opposed to making another group chat. This isn't about excluding her. It was just about protecting personal information that we weren't entirely ready to share with a new member. 2 days later, Carlos decides to step away from the group and all projects. It's worth noting he had already committed to the YouTube series with us. He had already taken specific tasks for that project and he had committed to that project. So we were all just kind of blindsided on August 24th when he decided to completely step away. Wanted to clear up, and I'll just read verbatim what he said. I'm sending this message because I don't want anything to be misunderstood or misconstrued. If I had known that adding Raquel to the group could have made people uncomfortable, wouldn't have done it. With that being said, I wish whoever felt uncomfortable would have been comfortable to come to me about it. Annie was right. She shouldn't have to be the one to address it because we're all adults and there's no hierarchy within the team. I understand that I don't form part of some of the excursions and sometimes it's been by choice and at times it's been due to a schedule conflict. I just want you all to know that I support everyone as a content creator. We'll continue to cheer on all of you. We all started off as strangers that became friends and I'm always here to see you do good. Respectfully taking a step back from the team, and then he left. Didn't give anybody a chance to reply, ghosted everybody, right? In present day, he said contradicting statements, but this is when he walked away. We were all just kind of taken aback and we knew it was rooted to the whole issue with Raquel. He never had a conversation with me, but I noticed that hierarchy comment. He was offended that I had approached him instead of the other group members individually approaching him themselves. I didn't see any harm in just going to him directly. I don't know. Anyway, so he didn't like how that felt. And so members of the group reached out to him privately after he left. He had conversations with every single one of them. And there were statements made to those members that alluded that his problem was with me.
Okay, so basically he said that the energy was off. This day, Monday, like the last Monday when we all got together, because he felt that like people were feeling some type of way or uncomfortable around Raquel. I do think that it is our responsibility to take accountability for the fact that we did not communicate in the group chat if we were comfortable with Raquel being there or not. Like, I do think that that was a fault on our end and we should have responded at the very fucking least. After that, the way that the conversation went in the group chat is where he like was his second ick, basically. That's how I'm putting it. He did not say ick. I am saying ick because, like when you get an ick and then like everything else just kind of like turns you off about the person, that is the way that it sounded in the group chat, or the way that he was like explaining it. That after that initial ick, when he added her to the group chat, he was like, not happy that Annie was the one that reached out to him saying, oh, 3 other people are uncomfortable. He's like, if 3 other people are uncomfortable, we should be having this conversation in the group chat, or all 3 of the other people should be reaching out to me instead of just you reaching out to me on their behalf. And then the final nail in the coffin was when you changed I'm speaking to you, Annie, when you changed the admin like restrictions or rules or whatever the fuck it's called to only admins can add people to the group chat. He was like, oh no, I don't fucking like that. Which again, I think is fair. Like, girl, that was a little messy. That was a little messy. And so all in all, I feel like his reasons are valid. I think that they could have been communicated, and that's what I continued to reiterate throughout the conversation, is that everybody is assuming things on your behalf and nobody really understands where the fuck you're coming from. And it's crazy that you just left the group chat without explaining that to everybody. And then he also said that he didn't respond to you, Annie, because he addressed you in the group chat instead. Like, he basically responded to your message in the group chat. Like the last message that you sent him that he didn't respond, he said that he responded to that in the group chat. I don't fucking remember. I don't know. But yeah, those were basically the 3 points. I may be misinterpreting this, so take it with a fucking grain of salt. Don't just take it as law or as Bible. This game of fucking telephone is actually causing me so much stress and I hate it. But at least I have a little bit more clarity on like where he was coming from. And he also was like, I don't have anything against you guys. If you are going out to dinner and I have time to come, like, I have no problem with going. But I just don't want to be a part of, like, the day-to-day, everyday things, which I think is fair. And I would have no problem with him joining after we have this conversation as a group.
He's going to say it, I'm just going to fucking say it. First of all, he's not taking accountability for his behavior. Number one, even if we didn't respond to him, Zara, there's plenty of other conversations that are going on within the group chat. And sometimes I have also like put certain comments and I haven't been responded to. But I also don't assume that's a yes or any type of acknowledgement, because it could have been just misplaced or misseen because the chat comes in really fast. So that's like number one on that part of it. In regards to like him saying about the admin thing with Annie did that after she got added, because again, she was added without anybody's consent to begin with. Not because Annie's but because she created the actual group, I believe. So certain people who create it have admin power. And I hadn't even checked about who can add and who can delete. That part of it. And this whole thing of like, yeah, no, I think he's just needed to take accountability for it. It all started from him interpreting assumptions that we agreed upon something that wasn't agreed upon. It was very simple to continue to ask again if it was not answered.
But nobody is saying that we were uncomfortable that she came on Monday, right? Like, nobody said no. Okay, she came on Monday, fine, right? Like Annie said previously, she's a nice, lovely person. Maybe some of us were like, kind of odd that she's coming to our first get together where we haven't decided things, but totally fine. We're talking content, whatever, right? So I don't think it came from there. Some of us were uncomfortable that he added her to a group chat without telling anybody. So taking it all the way back to, Monday, I think that's different, right? I think that us not answering to him on Monday, nobody answered. He assumed, okay, let me bring her. Okay, fine, right? If I really didn't want her there, I would have said, hey, don't bring her, right? Not that it's my place to tell somebody no, right? We're all a group. We all as a group should have maybe thought about it, responded something. We didn't. But I don't think the problem comes from Monday. I don't. Because the fact that Raquel was there didn't bother me. I was like, oh, okay, Raquel's here. I didn't realize that she was going to be part of our YouTube, on our podcast. We're just getting to know her. But okay, she's here. I'm not bothered. I'm not angry. I'm not upset. So I'm having a hard time, Saida, going back to Monday from last week. Because I don't think that had to do with anything with him adding her to the group chat without asking, consulting, checking in first. I think he made the assumption that because she went to dinner, because she came on Monday, then she's part of the group. But he made that decision by himself, which is why he's upset that Annie changed admin controls, because now he feels like Annie's the one that's going to make decisions, which is not the case. We're all going to make decisions together, but Annie locked it down because taking action, right? Reaction to an action. He made the decision, the assumptions that because he's brought his friend multiple times, now she's part of the group. So he added her to the group. I don't think it goes back to Monday. And maybe I'm just misunderstanding. Maybe I'm not seeing it the way you're seeing it, Saida, because you talked to Carlos and I didn't. But I don't think it goes back to Monday.
I lost respect for him for how he walked away. I felt like I was having pretty direct, open communication. It felt like he was just kind of power struggling with me, if I'm being honest, about who was in charge, and which was completely childish in high school because I saw us all as equal members and really just wanted all of us to win. I was constantly taking the initiative to organize the get-togethers, passing down opportunities from news interviews, passing down tips for content creation. It was kind of crazy to me to see him, I guess discredit the team player that I had been, because I was never trying to be the leader of anything. I wanted us all to win. Anyway, so conversations are had with other team members that get back to me that the issue was with me. There were team members that were also upset about how he handled it. And he did, in fact, ghost the entire team. Then that's when he stepped away and he branched off to La Guarita. Well, we had all decided when he walked away that we didn't want to address this publicly because it would just bring speculation for drama, right? So Carlos had some private conversations with other team members where he promised he wouldn't be making no videos about it. He was just going to move on with his content and use the excuse that he was just busy with fatherly things and, there was a schedule in his conflict that he couldn't be part of the group. And so we were all going to chalk it up to that and just, move on. There was no drama. It really was like, okay, he has every right to walk away. If it's not for him, it's not for him, regardless of why. But the issue came when he started breaking the promise of not talking about it. So initially he was making videos about, he wishes us the best.
I don't remember if we talked. I don't want to spoil it. I don't know if they said it. I don't remember if we talked about it and it was posted, so I don't want to spoil it. But they had some ideas moving forward. And I think, I wish him, as always, I wish him well, but no, like I said, I stepped away from it. But I got nothing but love for all of them. So, but I don't remember if they've talked about it or they haven't, about what they plan to do. So I don't want to spoil it if they haven't. But no, I'm not going to be a part of it. I stepped away from that. So, for personal reasons, I got a lot of stuff going on, man. I got my kids, my wife, and I are trying to get like a good schedule together. We got our kids. Roxy, what's up?
So initially he was making videos about, he wishes us the best. They were working on some projects and, I wished them all well. And everything was fine and quiet. We all went our ways separately. No big deal. Until September 29th rolled around. And I fell out with Olga. Olga was one of our team members that had a crisis in PV that sent ripples through the entire community and social media. Some of you guys may know what that is. Olga crashed out on TikTok on September 29th, 2025.
It's about mental health and I want to use mental health as an excuse. Bitch, I just tried to end my life. How the fuck are you going to tell me I'm not going through some mental health shit? I fucking broke. Do you understand that I have to live with the consequences of what I did? And then people want to get on here and make it about them, like I'm supposed to take time out of my feelings and everything to post videos to make them fucking look good? And see, this is, again, now if you really support me, and again, one more thing, because I was made feel very guilty about me posting about the GoFundMe for my kid's quinceañera. Again, money has nothing to do with this. I don't even understand why this is being painted about she didn't take the opportunity. Understand that I was not in a mental space where now that I look back, it was such a fucking mistake. I went out there and did nothing but fucking get together with content creators, and that's all I did over there. I fucking ruined everything that I could have had going for myself, but this is not the focus. I am not focused on so understand that now that I'm like mad and I just made this fucking video and I'm upset because I'm probably gonna rethink this through and say, oh man, I shouldn't have done it that way. But I'm fed up. I'm fed up with the subliminals. I'm fed up with thinking that this is about somebody else. Why is Zaira, and this is the only time I'm bringing them up because I'm not going to involve other people into this stupid shit. But why is Zaira or Madre de Huarache, Cisco, Irvin, and Mike not being brought up? Because they handled the situation a lot better. They were actually friends and they were there for me. I'm going to tell you exactly what everyone did so that you guys can see. And I'm not going to discredit what Annie has done. The issue now is the way that things are being dragged out and carried. I have stayed quiet. I apparently have bothered somebody that I made 2 videos, not speaking of the situation, just speaking about my life and what I got going on. It bothers somebody. It's like, nah, my next video should have been about the misery, and my next video should have talked about what's going on. The fuck? Nobody tells me what to do. And now they're going to paint the picture however they want. But now that I spoke up and I said the raw truth of what happened, and I'm like I told you guys in a video, nobody can put more blame on me than what I already feel. And I'm not going to let nobody paint the picture that it was worse than what it was. Do I feel fucked up about what I did? What do you guys think? Do you not think that I have every fucking reminder every fucking day and that I'm not okay of what I did? But okay, so I'm gonna play out a little bit of what happened that night with detail because this is exactly what they wanted. Okay, we went out, right? Annie left so everything started with the interview. It was a in-person interview that day. And I got there 40 minutes late because I live in the outskirts of Puerto Vallarta. Far away from where everybody else lives. Everybody was already there when I got there. Immediately, once I got there, they're like, it's your turn. I sat down and I did my interview. I was very nervous. I was stuttering. I wasn't content with the interview because I had other personal things going on in my life. Okay? And when I got to the table, I told them, I don't feel good about this one. I didn't like this interview. I was nervous. I was stuttering, whatever. And they were like, yeah, we were kind of like that. Mind you, this is our first interview that we did in person. So once the interview was done, we sat down at the table and I asked for a shot. I said, I want a shot. Supposedly this is going to calm my nerves down, right? So I took a shot, took another shot. It turned into like 5 shots at the dinner table. After that, Cisco and Irvin suggested if we go out to the gay clubs. I've never been. So I was like, yeah, I'm down. You know, I'm obviously already drinking, so I'm turned up and I'm like, okay, let's drink. Let's go out. We went out. I posted stories on my Instagram. I was very emotional that day. I had a lot of personal things going on that brought these emotions out of me. We were at the clubs singing, crying, everything. The night ended well. And yeah, and I'm telling you guys now, alcohol is something that you guys will never see me drink. I made a promise with myself. I made a promise with God. This is something that there's no excusing. There's no like, oh, because nobody sees me. No, nothing. You guys will never see me pick up a drink again. Okay? So, So after that, we got an Uber home. Everyone got an Uber home. I believe that Cisco and Irvin actually even paid for that Uber because I obviously was already fucked up. But I was still had recognition of what I was doing. I even asked the Uber, do you think you can stop at McDonald's, right? So we went to McDonald's and I got the kids food. As I drove back, now these are parts where it starts to go in and out, where I black out, in and out. And I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for the drinking part, and I'm ready. I'm just like, man, this is crazy that this is the outcome that needed to be done so that other people could be happy. And once I'm done with this life, Like, to the people that do support me, I would respectfully ask that you don't go, like, you can support both of us. I will never knock nobody down. I will never do none of that shit. But don't ask questions about me to no one. Not on that team, not to Annie, not to Jelly. I am letting you know Jelly is not my friend. I have her blocked. I don't fuck with Jelly. I don't like how she thinks, and I will get into detail with that. Okay? But so apparently, again, back to the night, I was in and out of consciousness. I was blacking out. Apparently, I stopped at a 2-box. A 2-box is like a 7-Eleven or, you know. No, I was like, you're going to clean up that soda. Past 11 at night in Puerto Vallarta. Because obviously I'm drunk. So she was like, I don't know how she's going to act. She was like, I'm fucking leaving. I'm drunk. So I told my daughter, then fucking go. She walks out the door, and the moment she walks out, I lock the door. I'm so fucked up at this point, so fucked up in my mind that I'm telling my daughter, if you want to leave, go, not realizing that it's fucking midnight. Do you guys understand that I'm just like, fuck? So once she stepped out, I closed the door. The door only closes from the inside. After that, I went on a full rampage. The only thing on my mind was, I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of life. I'm sick of everything. I want to fucking end my life. So what did I do? I grabbed my knives. I tried to do whatever I did. I drank the whole bottle of Tylenol. I fucking cut off all my hair. And eventually the Tylenol that I drank knocked me the fuck out. When I woke up to my hair, to the knives, to the pills all over in my living room, like halfway dissolved pills. I don't remember throwing up, nothing. I remember someone banging on the door, like a man telling me, Olga, open the door. And I had already done all the mess. So I told myself, no, I don't want nobody to see this. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. Apparently, I even called my mom and I told her the kids left. And then my mom goes off. She doesn't just fucking talk to me nicely with love. And she's like, what the fuck did you do? Go get your kids. What the fuck are you talking about? And I was like, no, they chose to leave. So I'm just going to let them. And I'm like in and out of consciousness on my kitchen floor. Like, completely fucked up, right? So apparently I didn't open the door. Apparently the person that was knocking was the security guard. The apartment complex has security guards walking throughout the night. They saw the kids outside, and obviously he came up concerned, and he was like, you know, what's going on? My daughter told him my mom's in there, like she locked the door, whatever. I didn't open the door. There you guys have it. That's what the fuck I did. And I don't have enough days to fucking really like regret what I did, you know? There's no going back from it. You can scream, I can cry and everything. So mind you, the following morning when I woke up and I saw that there was, I woke up in the kitchen, no, in the living room floor. And I saw the pills, I saw the hair, I saw everything. I'm like, what the fuck? So I go into the kids' room and I see that they're not there, and I'm just like, oh my God, what the fuck do I do? Like, I even opened the door and I'm like a stupid ass, maybe thinking the kids were still outside. I don't fucking know. So I called my mom and I'm like, Mom, I don't have the kids. And I was like, Mom, where the fuck are the kids? You know, and she's like, what do you like? She starts going off on me again. She's like, the div took them. And I'm just like, what the fuck? You know, like, I'm just like, and at this point, like the pills, everything, I was still so fucking fucked up from it. Like, I didn't know what the fuck was going on, but I was so angry at myself. So instead of my mind being like, get the fuck up, you're gonna be all right, you gotta get up and do something to get your kids, my mind was like, I can't believe I did this, like my kids, what the fuck. And now that I know, now I'm gonna tell you guys how the content creators played a part in this. Because it was never to be about them. This happened in the privacy of my home. Nobody was there. And as far as I know, okay, and mind you, I'm being raw with it, right? I'm going to tell you guys the fucking truth because nobody's going to use nothing against me. I think this is exactly what people wanted, exactly what Annie wanted. And I told her that, right? Okay. Okay, so as far as I know now, right? My mom called my sister-in-law, my boyfriend's sister, okay? And she's the one that reached out to everyone. My mom didn't have Annie's phone number at the time, so this was all through social media. My sister-in-law reached out to Cisco and Annie. Cisco responded to my sister-in-law, and she was like, hey, can you go check up on Olga? Like, I think something happened, whatever. So Cisco and Irvin popped up in my house, right? And mind you, I didn't want to open the door. I had made a complete mess out of everything. I'm ashamed. I'm like, do you guys understand that I'm trying to fathom what even happened? So when they got there, they knocked. I kind of stayed quiet. I was like, I don't know who it is. I was kind of like, what the fuck, trying to like understand everything. They were like, Olga, and and I'm not answering. So then they say Olgis, and when they said Olgis, I understood that it was them. So I was like just quiet, trying to make sure that they don't know that I'm home. So then I saw that they started trying to open the window, right? And I'm like, fuck, and the window was opening. So once they open and they move the blindfolds, they're gonna see the mess. I'm telling you, I had knives, I had pills, I had throw up everywhere, I had my hair all over the room, so the living room. So I was like, I'm not gonna open. So I told them, I was like, hey, I'm not gonna open. I hope you guys can respect that I'm just not gonna open the door. They were like, no, we're here for you. Like, we came to check up on you. There's no judgment. We just want to make sure you're okay. You didn't write us back last night. Mind you, I haven't looked at my phone at this point, no, nothing. So they were like, we just want to make sure you're okay. And obviously I knew that if I told them no, that they can just move the blindfolds and see everything. So I opened the door. Then Cisco and Irvin came in, and my respect and my love to them, they helped me out with everything. They picked up
And you guys already know what that was like. He joined that live and he immediately started jumping on every anti-Annie comment about how it was wrong that I had done this, wrong that I had done that. That same day, he hosts his own live stream and he starts discussing why he left the group. Which, mind you, he had made commitments to other team members that, according to him, he doesn't have any issue with. Commitments were made to them that he wouldn't speak on this.
Whole thing was the reason why they were uncomfortable with me adding Raquel to the group was for two reasons. One, the phone numbers, right? One, the phone numbers. They didn't want somebody to have access to their phone numbers. Two was that we discuss private things in that group chat as if we don't fucking post our whole life on social media, right? But I'll get to that in just a minute. So the two reasons I was given was because the phone numbers and because of the privacy, right? The phone numbers. All right. So the phone numbers thing, let me tell you why that's not a valid excuse. It's because 2 weeks prior to me adding Raquel to the group, right? Another content creator made a group chat with content creators that were visiting for the weekend, and they added everybody from Puerto Vallarta. They added them to a group chat with the content creators that were visiting for the weekend. Oh, that wasn't the whole thing doesn't have beef with anybody, bro. My wife, like, she makes a little cute content, bro. Like, you speak on my wife's name. I've told y'all many fucking times. There are two groups of people that I will defend to the hill on my life, and that's my wife and my kids. My wife and my kids. My wife's the one that was telling me, nah, don't go live. Nah. Your name was brought up. I'm gonna defend my wife. And I'm just speaking on facts here. I'm just speaking on facts, right? And so when I added Raquel to the group, right, somebody messaged me directly and said, if, and I quote, me and 3 other people are not comfortable with you adding Raquel to the group chat. And to myself, I said, then why the fuck didn't the other 3 people come and tell me? Like, why is it one person got to come and tell me? Right? Like, why did one person have to speak for 3 other fucking people? We are all grown fucking people. Right? Like, no? Anybody? Let me ask the chat. No? Like, if we're all friends and we're all cool with each other and we have like this tight group, this tight community, wouldn't it be right for people to just speak up comfortably when somebody does something uncomfortable and say, hey, yo, I don't really like that you did that? No? Like, y'all wouldn't do that as friends? Y'all wouldn't do that on like, right? Am I right or am I wrong? And the whole thing was the reason why they were uncomfortable with me adding Raquel to the group was for 2 reasons. 2 reasons. One, the phone numbers. The phone numbers, right? One, the phone numbers. They didn't want somebody to have access to their phone numbers. Two was that we discuss private things in that group chat as if we don't fucking post our whole life on social media, right? But I'll get to that in just a minute. So the 2 reasons I was given was because the phone numbers and because of the privacy, right? The phone numbers. All right. So the phone numbers thing, let me tell you why that's not a valid excuse. It's because 2 weeks prior to me adding Raquel to the group, right? Another content creator made a group chat with content creators that were visiting for the weekend, and they added everybody from Puerto Vallarta. They added them to a group chat with the content creators that were visiting for the weekend. Oh, that wasn't a...
He chose that same day to speak on why he fell out with me. And he went into the whole issue of the adding Raquel and this and that. And it very much gave me the vibes that he was jumping on anything anti-Annie. During my fallout with Olga, you guys know there was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of criticism, and I was made out to be the villain because it's not your story to tell that she beat the shit out of her kids and they're in deep and they need help, whatever. So I started to see him host live streams and make condescending comments of all sorts. Mind you, he had my phone number. I had texted him directly. He never responded to me. So before any of this went public, I did try to have a direct conversation with him that to date he has never responded to. To date, he still has my phone number. He decided to go on and just you know, a lot of you seen it, and I don't care to sit up here and post because I honestly don't have everyone. And segue into our part 2 of Carlos. Anyway, so he chose to launch his public anti-Annie stance on the same date that Olga did. And I'm not going to spend much time going into the fallout with Olga. You guys saw it. That will be another video, another day. But I simply wanted to narrate the events that led up to October of 2025, where you saw the receipts in the first part with Candace, the podcast, and Rafael. So I have narrated with the information that I have available to me with my experiences with him, what the fallout was rooted from. Yesterday he mentioned that he ghosted just me because of microaggressions. So you can make with that what you will based off of why, he himself said to other people publicly it had to do with me taking a leadership role within that brings us to October of 2025. Mind you, Olga and I fell out late September. So the beginning of October was still very fresh, and that's when everything was happening between Rafa, Candace, the collab. I'm not going to re-narrate all those receipts that you already saw in part 1. This is where the podcast was in the works between these 3 creators, and this is where Carlos joined this anti-Annie campaign with Candace and Rafa until Rafa stepped away when it just didn't align with his views. This is when Carlos and Candace are now working behind the scenes really feverishly. They blocked me from interviews, they blocked me from collabs with other creators, and it just got really messy behind the scenes. I was vocally addressing publicly what was going on privately, so a lot of viewers were confused as to why I kept talking about Candace, why I was hinting at certain things. So from October until now, a lot of you witnessed it. I don't care to narrate all the videos, and truthfully I don't have all of them, but he hosted several live streams where he referenced me. The way that he was addressing me was very indirectly. From the information I received from Rafa, part of his NDA included that he could not speak to me about me, collab with me, so I would assume that meant he had to run a very strict program to be in Candace's good graces, and that involved just sticking to the script of happy family vlog content. So what he would do is create videos like he did on Monday, where his introduction to the video...
They were exposing Candace. I went and visited her, and I haven't talked about my visit with her on TikTok. I've talked about it on other platforms, but not on here. So let's get into it. So let me start by saying that Candace doesn't give herself enough credit for the things that she's done online. The amount of people that she has inspired, the amount of people that have gone through hard situations in life and have seen her content and have felt inspired and been inspired by what she's been able to do in Mexico. Yeah, I don't think anybody comes remotely close to inspiring as many people as she has. I've made connections with other content creators on this platform, and all of them have said the same thing, that when it comes to life in Mexico content, she stands at the top for various reasons. And as a content creator, you kind of want to aspire to be like her, What do I mean? Well, it's simple. Look at her content. Look at what she's been able to do. Everything she's been able to do, she's been able to keep it clean. Now, sure, we all have skeletons in our closet, but there's never been a waiver that you need to sign on social media to say that you got to let them all out for the public to see. We all have battles in life. We all show you what we want to show you as content creators. But when you've been doing it for so long and you've been able to keep yourself straight in a straight line, man, you got to pat yourself in the back for that one, Candace. Now, I've had some comments by trolls saying that I'm just riding her coattail because of the platforms that she's got, but here's the thing. That doesn't really apply when you're friends. And Candace and I have become really close friends. Our families have become really close friends as well. So that doesn't necessarily apply when you've built a genuine friendship. And I just wanted to say that, going over to see Candace, who was, out of all the people that inspired me, before moving to Mexico, she was the one that inspired me the most. That's why the moment she followed me on TikTok, I made a post about it, and I was fangirling harder than I fangirled for anybody else because she's the GOAT. And everybody's story is special. Everybody's story carries weight and, has a meaning on its own, right? But us as people, forget the content creator, us as people, we align ourselves with people that share our same values, and that's who we tend to lean more on. And so I just wanted to expose Candace for being 10 times the person that she is online when you're in her presence. Her and Fidel, the way they took care of us, the way our kids immediately got attached to them. They had no problem being held by them, holding their hands. You know, kids, they say that kids, they can sense good people. That's what I've heard. That kids can sense good people. And my kids, as innocent as they are, had no problem being around them. Even Sophia, the pickiest one out of all three of them, allowed herself to be held by Candace and Fidel multiple times while we were there visiting them. That says about the people that they are. And I just wanted to take this quick moment to expose Candace, because now that I know her in person, trust me, she doesn't take nearly enough credit for the things that she's done online and for the things that she's done for so many people that have seen her content. So Candace, pat yourself in the back, please, because let me tell you something. When it comes to life in Mexico, nobody comes even remotely close to doing it like you do.
So his introduction to the video was mocking me. It said, today we're exposing Candace, right? Because I have been narrating, how I exposed her deportation stories. I have been creating content on Candace since October sporadically as these things have been happening behind the scenes. So number one, his introduction to the video caught the attention of a lot of people because it resonated it with me, right? And in this video, you can see the way he's just sucking Candace's dick. I'm sorry, there's no other way that I can put it. Okay, but all hell Candace, she's the GOAT of deportation videos. She's the GOAT of life in Mexico. She's the best of the best of the best. Those were comments made strategically to shade me. So that was Candace's way to respond to me without having to address me. And the way that this content has been machined, and there are many videos like this and live streams hosted since October, he references me indirectly, alludes he's speaking about me, and his comment section is just flooded with anti-Annie trolling ass comments that he's liking, engaging with. Maybe not engaging, but at least liking. And it's obvious the video's about me, but he's able to hide behind the guise that I'm just here spreading positivity to Candace, right? We don't do drama here, we just do family vlog, but really it's an indirect, condescending way to spread hate, to keep feeding this narrative that Annie's just drama, we're just here for family content. So this video on Monday began to set the tone for some things because I was taken aback by that video. I have been dealing with him since October, right? I've been dealing with this type of content since October, and I just finally got fed up. And you guys saw some of my live streams. I'll go ahead and clip a few here, where I began very vocally voicing my stance on Carlos and how he is another Candace in the making. He is now her little prodigy, and he's repeating the cycle of creating an account off of a misleading story to gain sympathy and views and monetize off of this community of life in Mexico, life after deportations. Remember, he was featured in an article representing deportation stories. So I announced just a couple days ago that I would be starting a YouTube series where, similar to Candace's stories, I'm going to be vetting deportation stories on TikTok and exposing some of these stories that have been posted on these news channels without proper vetting, that are misrepresenting these stories as victims of the immigration system, when really the majority of them have criminal histories. And there's a big impact that creates into this community, and it opens the door for other people to come on here and really just scam people out of money through GoFundMes, engagement, views, etc. So I announced publicly yesterday I would be creating this series based on a 91% vote from my audience, that they were intrigued about this and wanted to learn more. Well, that set Carlos over the edge. After months of posting content and directly shading me, he made his video that I showed at the beginning of this video, addressing me directly and hitting a few points. And really, and that was the video where I decided that it's time to call some of this out, because I myself am also tired. And I was actually taken aback that it was a whole grown-ass man joining in with Candace. It was a very odd collab, very odd energy. And so let me quickly respond to this video now.
You're seeking attention by referencing my family and I. Lucky for you, I have some time today. So I keep hearing about these receipts you're gonna let out. And contrary to what you might believe, people are allowed to have an opinion of you without having to share it online. Now I have talked about you privately. I don't like you. I've lost all respect for you. And since you continually keep talking about me on social media, it's just normal and human nature for me.
So I was talking about him on social media because I was talking about the machinery that was going on behind the scenes. I was expressing discontent with the collaborations that they were blocking, with cutting me from news articles, with really just engaging in similar behavior that Candace engaged in 2-3 years ago in this hate campaign. So yes, I was vocally addressing him because he was indirectly addressing me to everybody around me. My friends locally in PV, the other creators online, and through his entire content, he was constantly sneak dissing me. And I knew that there was rift there.
And go and talk about you to other people privately. Now, whoever's feeding you this information or whoever your source is, I just hope they're giving you the full story and not just bits and pieces. It's like,
so the source of my information was his homie that he was very publicly closely collaborating with last year. And the way that Rafa shared those receipts, in my opinion, he held on to a lot for the sake of not making this messier than it needs to be. In my opinion, Rafa didn't share as much as he could have if he was just in this to see two people fight or whatever the reason may be. And I'm sure there was a point where there was a reason why why Carlos was comfortable talking to Rafa about me. I'm not going to dispute that. But he also made a comment before I dropped my YouTube video. He was anxiously waiting to see who his rat and coward was. It was one of your friends, somebody you confided in. It was somebody that you trusted in, somebody that saw your character and saw it for what it was. And I've been, chalked up as this crazy, just dramatic and blah, 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 but somebody else saw the same thing and stepped away from you. The same way you stepped away from our creator group, karma spun around so quick and hit you in the ass because your own friend stepped away from you for shady ass behavior.
when we had that PV group, do you remember when you were getting dragged by all those content creators and you would go and talk to a...
I do remember because you were the one that would let me know. Conveniently for you, I did post an entire 45-minute video of our entire chat history, just you and I. And in that private chat history, you were constantly sending me the links of other creators that were talking about me, screenshots of you engaging. So, and yes, we discussed these things, but I always found it interesting how it was always you sending me those links to whether it was in the group chat or personally.
Us about them and talk a lot of smack about other content creators, and we'd all kind of pitch in because we were all looking for each other out as friends. Yeah, it's the same difference, Annie. There's nothing different about that. In other words...
No, there is a big difference, because while we were all doing that, I wasn't talking shit about you to somebody else, to your op. I wasn't talking shit about you before I met you. There's a difference because while we were there all behaving as friends, the rest of us weren't off talking shit about each other or sending screenshots of our group chat to other creators. So there is a difference.
On the PV group segment, let's talk about that for a little bit because you sure ran off with a lot of narratives that are not...
I try to keep the PV group out of this, but because you mentioned it, I sought their permission today to share the contents of some of what happened, some of the recordings that you saw in this video. I didn't run off with any narratives. I took the narratives from your mouth on your live streams.
True. Let me make something very clear to you, Annie. I ghosted you because I noted the microaggressions that you were sending my way, and I started to see patterns of behavior that I did not want to associate myself with. So when
you ghosted the group reiterated that this morning. The patterns of behavior that you're referring to was you saw a Mexican woman taking the lead and you're machista as fuck. So you walked away. You had a problem with me having any type of leadership role that I didn't realize I was a leader. But you're okay with a white woman leading you. That's the microaggression that you're referring to that I've documented through the conversations you have with other creators, the conversations you had in the group, the live streams that you've hosted. It wasn't microaggressions. It was your issue with me taking the lead in the group.
When I left the group, I just didn't want to be around you. That's it.
You were never around me to begin with. We kicked it once at my house. You act like I was trying to kick it with you or something. You already weren't showing up to the events. Nobody was around you, if I'm being honest, because you weren't showing up because you were already linking with Candace in the back. You used me as a scapegoat because you had a better opportunity with Candace who had more clout. And you used me as your excuse to dip on everybody else, the commitments you made to everybody else, and the team that you were already part of.
But you know what? I have the integrity to not go back on my word about things that I once said to you. Like when I told you that your story was powerful and you did inspire me before I moved.
You have no integrity. Of course you're going to mention that you were fangirling over me because you knew I was ready to drop receipts. Of course.
To Mexico, I still hold on to that because when I said that to you as a friend, I meant it.
You were never my friend. You were never anybody's friend. You're nobody's friend right now. You were never my friend because when you were saying it to me, you were also talking shit about me to Candace, to Rafa, and God knows who else. You were never my friend. You said that to me as a content creator that was collaborating with me for an opportunity for my club.
Now I've lost respect for you since, and I don't like you anymore.
I never had any for you, Carlos, if I'm being honest. I never had any respect for your story and the way that you ran away from your problems.
But I would never take that back because I really did mean those words when I sent them your way. And just like when we were friends, you were quick to tell me that if you would have been in the same position as me and the reason as to why I came to Mexico, you would have done the same thing. Hell.
Drop a receipt that I said that. I was in your position and I didn't do what you did. I could have ran too. Drop a receipt for me saying that I would have taken off with my kids to Mexico because it never happened. Never happened. I'm not built like you. I took care of my shit in the US. I faced the music. I faced the possibility of prison time. I walked into my sentencing hearing, so don't ever compare your story to mine. We are not the same. You're on the run with your wife and kids in a foreign country to them and to you because you're too afraid to go to jail. Hold on the receipt.
You even gave me friendly legal advice to not speak on my case on social media. Did we already?
That's also included in the context of our private messages. Yes, I did. You came to me and said, is there a safe way to share the warrant? I want to eventually fix my status. So what I said is, if you're going to fix status with the current Trump administration, I wouldn't post anything on social media about criminal activity. And then I followed up with telling you that I could help you recall those warrants.
Forget about this?
Context is important. So again, because you dropped little teasers, I went ahead and I uploaded our entire chat conversation, including that, to my members page for those of you that really care to hear it. But I think at this point we have a clear indication of who the liar is. Context is always important.
So now you want to flip the script and expose that I'm on the run. So which is it? Lastly, let's address that thing you were going through. When I went over to your house, you were about to out me head and you needed allies. Remember? What?
I didn't need allies, I needed advice. I needed advice because I wasn't sure to blast him, and you actually encouraged me to blast him. You encouraged me to go live with his baby mama because you loved the cheese man. I didn't need allies, I've never needed allies. I've been blasting people before, during, and after you on my own.
You and your moderators like to do? Let me remind you.
I was in my look up for okay, so I have my mods in the group chat and I know them when they're like I've met them. And they're like, you know what? Let me go like the comment, let me get some content on it. And so they start replying to her comment. He's on expired, but he has a timer on his 5 minutes a day.
And to my community, I'm sorry.
So he shares a clip. Sorry, Carlos, I'm speaking directly at you at this point, but you share a clip of something I said about my mods. I have no idea what the context is. I don't know where he got it from. It wasn't from our private chat. I don't know if it's a snippet of my live. But I interpreted that as, here's your warning. If you post receipts on me, I'm going to post receipts on you. That's how it came off to me. And I said, challenge accepted, and that's why we're here today. So I went ahead and I Eminem style posted our entire chat roll, all of our conversations, every single one of them, with context, including when I gave you legal advice. Now, as we're talking about, you want to twist it like I'm on the run. Carlos, and let me switch back to speaking to my audience. I'm not speaking on anything that Carlos hasn't publicly shared himself. Now, because in preparation of these receipts, he has spent a significant amount of time scrubbing his channels, deleting old videos that contain any information as to why he's in Mexico, and also the one where he was fangirling over La Güerita following him, etc. He wasn't counting on the fact that I already have them. And I'm going to introduce part 2 with his own admissions as to why he's in Mexico.
Remember the last night that I was in the United States of America. The night I talked to my wife and I said, I have to go back to Mexico because if I don't go, I might get wrongly accused of something I didn't do and I might get thrown into jail and possibly get taken by immigration. And I can't run that risk. My youngest daughter was 2 weeks old. And the night that I left, I packed a book bag, bought a plane ticket. My oldest daughter and my son were asleep, and I kissed them goodbye. And I remember walking out of my door and seeing my wife holding our daughter. And all I could do was kiss her goodbye and tell her that I would see her soon, because I knew that if I stayed, I had no chance to defend myself because of the power.
This video has since been deleted from his channel. It was posted in February of 2025. He deleted it sometime in the most recent weeks or months, I'm not sure. And so we're going to get into why Carlos is actually in Mexico as we now go into my next playlist of exposing deportation stories. Part 2 we'll hold off for tomorrow because I'm currently awaiting on a call back from the clerk of courts at Dare County. I have submitted a criminal record request for Carlos and his brother so we can get the full panorama of the context behind who Carlos is and who we're dealing with. I hope I see you guys on the next part in the next playlist titled Exposing Deportation Stories.